Now we are going to begin building your robot, and this video covers the LEGO NXT Mindstorm kit, and we're going to walk through what we actually do in terms of opening the kit, seeing what's in it, and how we actually begin putting these pieces together. So there are a variety of plans that are available when you purchase one of these kits, and LEGO provides a bunch of example designs, and then there's other organizations out there. One of the more popular ones is Carnegie Mellon's Robotic Academy. So they have a lot of curriculum material that's basically open for educators. And then, of course, you can just go out and Google, construction plans for the NXT robot, and you'll just see a whole variety of different plans that people have created. Some people give them out for free. Some people want you to pay for them. But there's always enough plans out there so you can, if you don't want to invent your own design, you can go out and grab a plan. So when you first start with building one of these Mindstorms kits, it's always a good idea to use a plan, because the plan's going to show you how to use various pieces, to see what the pieces are for, and just get a feel for what can be done in the way that you do things using the Mindstorms kit. So let's start out by building the TaskBot. So the TaskBot looks like this, and this is a plan that is provided by Carnegie Mellon's Robotics Academy. And this plan is provided to you as part of this course. So if I take a look at that plan, what you're going to see is this. So these plans are always given in a very graphical format, which is very good for basically for everybody, but especially for children or young students. And it turns out that this is not only an easy way to start, but there's a pedagogical method behind it, because engineers especially, one of the things that is kind of required of them to be successful is visualization. So it's this art of thinking about the way that geometries exist in space and how they look as you rotate them. And so these plans give a lot of experience dealing with that. So when you come into this plan, go ahead and click through. And what you'll see is they always start off with a list of parts that you're going to need. Now, this is not the parts needed for the entire robot. Sometimes the plans give it for the entire robot. Sometimes they give it for just the section that you're going to build. But you can kind of come in here and you can see, okay, we need this piece right here. We need these wheels. We need all sorts of things like that. And at this point, let me show you the kit that I have. And I'll go ahead and just open it as if I've just opened the box, okay? So the first thing that happens is you're going to see, this divider, this organizer that has all these kits, or has all these piece parts in it. And, one of the things that happens is you might try to spend some time organizing where the piece parts go, because when they come to you, they might be in bags, and it's good to kind of just get them organized. And, you can organize them logically how you like to organize them. Everybody's a little bit different, but organization is more about being able to find it quickly. And then when you go into this thing, you're going to see, a lot of times they'll give you an instruction manual, and in this case right here, they give you something that's very similar to the TaskBot, but it kind of shows you some ways to hook sensors on. We're going to build this TaskBot that doesn't have any sensors on it, because we just want to get started with having something that we can, connect to the computer, install the software, and get it moving before we move on to actually building something more sophisticated. And then when you get into the kit, you're going to see a variety of things. So this right here is the NXT brick, is what it's called. And it is the computer system. So this is where the computer resides. It's where the batteries are placed. Now, you can order a rechargeable battery, which looks like this, and then it's charged with a little wall adapter that you can actually take, and you just plug it into the rechargeable battery, and then it's got lights on it, so it'll be red when it's dead and green when it's charged. And these NXT bricks, it just pops right in here directly. If you don't have rechargeable batteries, or you didn't purchase that, then this just takes standard AA batteries. So it takes 6 AA batteries, so you pop all those in. You always want to get the batteries in there first, because once you assemble the robot, sometimes it can be tough to access this. Inevitably, the batteries are going to go dead, so you're going to have to access it. Well, that's why the rechargeable is kind of nice, because a lot of times you can just get the AC adapter in there and charge it without pulling your robot apart. I will say the AA batteries tend to last a lot longer than the rechargeable battery. So it's kind of a trade-off of your personal feel. Then what you're going to see in there for this page, you're going to see things like the wheels, and the wheels aren't necessarily assembled, so you're going to have to put the rim and the rim on the tire there, and all sorts of things. And let's see. Okay, and then you see all these parts. Let's go to the next page and see what else we have. Now here's another main component is in addition to the brick, this is going to be your servo motor. So the NXT comes with, I believe, 3 of these servo motors, and these are used for everything from locomotion to moving arms and actuators and all sorts of things like that. Then there are these cables that come with it, and this is how you connect the motors and sensors to the NXT brick. So you see on the NXT brick that there's going to be these ports where you can plug these cables in, and then you plug these cables directly into either a motor or a sensor. One of the things to be aware of is that there's A, B, and C. When you look at your NXT brick, there's going to be A, B, and C, and these are used for your motors. Okay, and then you're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those are going to be used for the variety of sensors which come with your NXT. So one of the things that'll always happen is if your motors aren't spinning or your sensors aren't working, one of the first things to check is to make sure that you have them plugged in correctly. Okay. Then when you also look in your box, we're not using them right now, but you'll see a variety of sensors, and we'll go into this in another video. You'll see a variety of different sensors, push button sensors and ultrasound sensors and all sorts of things in there. And this sensor right here, which is a very popular sensor because it kind of makes the NXT robot look like a humanoid, or make it look more personable to the student. Okay, so you have these things, and one of the things that I want to point out, so you have all these parts. One of the things I want to point out, let's go to page 3, we have some more piece parts in there. And okay, so when you come along here, and let's get to page 5, which is where you actually start building. One of the things that you'll notice is that you have these, basically, they're not really trusses, but they're just these pieces that you can plug directly into. So you take pieces like this, and you're going to plug, little other pieces into there, and that's how you connect them together. But you look at these, and you have a whole bunch of different sizes of these. So right away, you're looking at them, and you say, geez, how do I know which one is which? And so that's what this number is right here. So if you look at the number, you see this 15 right here? It's talking about the number of holes in there. So that's the sizing of it. And then the way that they do the color, you'll notice that there's different colored pieces in here. They just use different colors in the graphics themselves to differentiate between the colors. Then you have 15, that means the number of holes. So this one is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's how I know that this is a 15 piece. Okay, so that's what that number is. Then when you come along and you start looking, if I go into page 6 and I look at some of these little connection bars or axles. So for example, this right here is the piece that they're talking about. And you say, well, how do I know which one is which? Because there's a bunch of different sizes on here. And what that means is they also have a number, 3 and 5, and what they're talking about is this is the same size as a 3-hole or a 5-hole piece. So if I came over to my kit and I pulled out let's look for a 5-hole piece. So let's see, a 5-hole piece. Here's a 3-hole piece. That one will be easier. So here's a 3-hole piece. So you can see it's got 3 holes there. Well, then that little 3-piece connection point is also the same size. So that's how you differentiate the sizes there. Okay, so all you do, so that's how you differentiate between all the piece parts. So let me go back to page 1, and we'll kind of come up with some of these names because I'm calling them like sticks and things, and when you actually build these things, there's actually names for them. So you have things like beams, and there's angular beam and modular beam. So angular beams are going to be the ones that have an angle to them or a tilt in them, and then you're going to have module beams. So 13, 15 module beams. These are going to be These are going to be the ones that are straight. And then we have tire and hub. Those are the words we use. Then you have servo motor and you have axle. So that's what these pieces right here were. These are the axles that are going to go in there. And then you have cross blocks and double cross blocks and axle extenders. You certainly don't need to memorize any of those. You can just visually see what they're talking about. Okay. So I go along here, and then let's see, just some other names: tooth gear and brushing and connection peg and all that sorts of stuff. So you get all these piece parts, and here's the kind of the big piece of advice that I give everybody when they start with this. It's hold the piece exactly like it is in the drawing. Okay, so if I come up and I put this, and I'm going to do this relative to the instruction, what I want to do is I want to orient it exactly as it is in the drawing, and then when I do that, I'm going to come along and try to place these things just as the picture is showing. So I'm going to come in from this side and plug it in. So if you orient the pieces exactly like the drawing, then you're fine. A lot of times people run into trouble when they don't orient it and they can't figure out which way is which, and so they have a lot of left and right flips, and it can be a little confusing and a little bit frustrating. Another thing that's going to be frustrating is sometimes you just don't have the pieces in your kit. So that's where you can do a couple things. Number one is you can try to reorder a missing piece, or you can improvise. So robotics is all about improvisation. So when you build these kits, you're just learning the capability of what's going on, and then you're going to run into something where you want to add a feature, or or something didn't work, or you're missing a piece, and so you just kind of look at how things go together, and you can kind of add on your own, features yourself. Okay, so you go through this, and this has 30 pages. This is a 32-page document. This takes anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour to walk through and assemble this, and it's good as the teacher to go through this exercise. So if you're a middle school science teacher and you're going to try to create a robotics team to teach some aspect of STEM or compete in some sort of robotics competition, the temptation, it's very tempting to just say, okay, students, go ahead and do this. But it's good to go through this exercise just to get familiar with what the pieces feel like and what the common pitfalls, like that orienting the piece just like it is in the page of the construction drawing. That's something that I just kind of picked up on as I was building these, and I never would have picked up on that if I wouldn't have built the kit myself. So if I just would have handed it over to the students and says, here, go do this. And so that little piece of advice goes a long way. The other thing is to just get a feel for the frustration sometimes that some people can have when you're dealing with pieces like this, because these pieces are tiny and they have almost no mass relative to our hands. So sometimes they're very hard to hold on to, and they're very difficult, and it can be a lot of lead to a lot of frustration. So just being aware of what the frustration is that some of the students that deal with these kits goes through is very insightful, and it helps you kind of guide them through using them. So okay, so we go along and we go through this huge document, and you can see the servos are coming into play, and I just want to get down to where the connectors come in. Okay, so the connectors right here, you can see the connectors are going to go into B and C, and that becomes very important when you start programming, because when you program this, you need to tell the program, oh, okay, I'm going to make the B motor spin forward and the C motor spin forward. If you have it connected improperly, then it might not work, or only one of them works. So it becomes very important. The other thing to keep in mind is that the cables are different lengths, so you want to try to use, to the best of your ability, use a cable that is as short as possible based on how many cables you have, because then it just kind of gets in the way. And you can usually use like twist ties and stuff and kind of wrap them around and bundle them so that they don't get in the way. So when you're all done with this is what your TaskBot is going to look like. And again, we haven't programmed it or anything like that. So let me show you a picture of my TaskBot that I created. So there's my TaskBot right there sitting on my desk, and what we'll do now is, once you get that, the next step is really connecting it to the computer. So if you think about what we're going to do next, we've constructed the robot right now, and I put a little check here because we actually haven't completed this step. In this module, what we now want to do is we want to connect we want to install the programming software for the NXT, and then we want to connect it, make sure that the drivers all install, and then the first thing you do is you usually install make sure that the firmware in the NXT brick is up to date, and so there's some buttons in there that you press in order to accomplish that. And then once we get all that in there, then we can look at things such as locomotion. And when we look at locomotion, which is moving a robot, then we also immediately look at how you program locomotion or motion into the robot, and then you download the program and we actually start seeing the NXT Mindstorm move. So that is it for this video, and the next thing we'll do is look at installing the software.